from the VON Newsline. This is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening. I am Daniel Moore in with your VON Major News package for today, Friday, 7th February 2020. In our lead stories nationally, CMO refutes rumor of ship traveling with passengers who have coronavirus. And Nevis anxiously awaits by-elections as CCM administration to announce candidate. Regionally, U.S. warns Venezuela of consequences if Guaido is harmed. Internationally, coronavirus death of Wuhan doctor sparks anger. And in sports, St. Kitts authorities investigating stolen Barbados Pride attire from Warner Park Stadium. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse,
Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now for the national news. In the midst of the coronavirus outbreak and the World Health Organization declaring the outbreak a global health emergency, rumors have circulated here in St. Kitts and Nevis, social media platforms in particular, that the Anthem of the Seas cruise ship docked in St. Kitts with 12 passengers who have the virus. The VON Newsline spoke with Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws, who sought to give clarification on the matter.
The title of the article issued by CNN earlier this morning, it says passengers on cruise ship docked near New York City will be assessed for coronavirus. The cruise lines have strengthened their surveillance system, just like airlines, and so they are participating in an elevated level of guest screening. So, in essence, this cruise ship, Anthem of the Seas, the passengers will be experiencing exit screening from the cruise vessel. So, in other words, when the ship docked, before disembarking, they would have been evaluated and assessed for any signs, symptoms, or evidence of coronavirus.
She also said that there was no coronavirus cases on the ship and gave the public this reminder.
The article didn't say that. The article at no time at all did it say that there are 12 cases of coronavirus in St. Kitts. Probably there are ill persons on the ship and they are going to investigate them, take off appropriate samples and send them for testing to rule out the coronavirus. I think the most important thing we need to remember is that we are in the middle of the regular flu season. The regular flu season, you have influenza viruses circulating, and a number of persons on cruise ships, and not just the Anthem of the Seas, on the different cruise ships come down with influenza viral infection.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws. Thus far, the coronavirus has now killed 636 people and infected 31,198 in mainland China. Citizens and residents here on Nevis are anxiously awaiting the much-anticipated by-election to be held here on the island. On Monday, 6th January, former leader of the NRP, former Premier of Nevis and long-standing representative of the St. Thomas Parish, Mr. Joseph Parry, announced he is retiring from active politics. This triggered a by-election on the island, just a few months away from federal elections being called here in the Federation. The NRP has announced their candidate that will replace Mr. Parry in the St. Thomas area in the person of Cleone Stapleton Simmons. The Concerned Citizens Movement administration is yet to announce their candidate who will run against the NRP's female candidate. Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, who has the power and responsibility to call the by-election, addressed this at his first press conference for 2020 on Tuesday, 28th January.
I'm meditating on it and taking some advice, and we will have a date. I think if the effective date of Mr. Parry's resignation was the 31st of December, then it means that we have until end of March or thereabouts to call it. So we'll see. We also, of course, have the possibility of a federal election that is looming as well. So we have to be very careful in terms of how we manage this. But we will have a date, and the date will be within the constitutionally prescribed time, and we will have a candidate who will have an opportunity to take that seat.
Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley. In police news, human remains which were found in a house in Boyd Village in St. Kitts are currently in police custody. Police officers made the discovery yesterday, Thursday, February 6th, sometime after 2 p.m. The scene was processed by members of the forensic unit, and according to a police communique, the incident is currently being investigated by the Violent Crime Unit. Police has also urged persons having any information regarding this incident to contact the Violent Crime Unit by dialing 467-1887 or 662-3468 or by calling the crime hotline at 707. An autopsy is expected to be carried out on the body to determine the exact cause of death. Tests will also be conducted to determine the individual's identity. The full slate of artists from the St. Kitts Music Festival, which will be launched this evening. The VON Newsline, spoke with Chairman of the Music Festival Committee, Mr. Damian Hobson, who explained what the event will entail.
This evening, we are having the first ever St. Kitts Music Festival launch party. As you know, for the last couple of years, we've been doing press conferences to launch the artists. But for 2020, visionary year, we thought we would try something completely different. So this evening at from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., we are going to be at Splash at the Royal St. Kitts Hotel, formerly known as Jack Tar. And it's a free event. We have lots of giveaways, special on tickets. We even have VIP tickets to give away. We have shirts. We have all kind of paraphernalia for the St. Kitts Music Festival to give away. And the big event will be to launch all of the artists who will be performing on the 2020 Music Festival.
Chairman of the Music Festival Committee, Mr. Damian Hobson. This year will mark the 24th edition of the festival, which is slated for late June 2020. The Culturama Secretariat here on Nevis is already making preparations for the 2020 festivities. Individuals are being encouraged to submit slogans for this 46th edition of the Caribbean's Greatest Summer Lime. Executive Director of the Nevis Culturama Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Abonati Liburd, in an interview with the VON Newsline, urged persons to submit their slogans as the deadline is approaching.
Persons who still have slogans and who have not yet submitted those slogans, to get them to the Culturama Secretariat on or before Friday the 14th of February, which is next Friday, because we want to make the announcement of the winning slogan for Culturama 2020 on Wednesday, February the 26th. We are looking for slogans that are short, catchy, no more than.
He also noted that there is a criterion for submissions to stand a chance to be the theme for the Culturama 2020 festival.
Promoters are asked to submit their requests for fringe activities to be placed on the Culturama 2020 calendar of activities on or before Friday, February the 21st. That's another 2 weeks that they have to get their fringe activities organized and to send in their requests. Because what we want to do is that we want to complete the calendar of activities and have it released early. We already have the core Culturama committee activities.
Mr. Antonio Abonati Liburd. The slogan for the Culturama 2019 was Love, Passion, Pride, Culturama 45. The slogan was penned by Ms. Vernine Williams of Brown Hill and was selected from a field of 280 entries. As the winner, Mrs. Williams Miss Williams received a cash prize of $500, 2 sets of complimentary tickets to all Culturama 45 activities, a complimentary cultural street parade troop package of her choice, and a plaque. Meanwhile, the Culturama Secretariat is making a plea for individuals who will be taking part in activities to make their necessary submission. Here is Executive Director of the Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Abanati-Liburd.
Promoters are asked to submit their requests for fringe activities to be placed on the Culturama 2020 calendar of activities on or before Friday, February the 21st. That's another 2 weeks that they have to get their fringe activities organized and to send in their requests. Because what we want to do is that we want to complete the calendar of activities and have it released early. We already have the core Culturama committee activities.
Mr. Antonio Liburd. The 2019 edition of Culturama saw a calendar of events with 13 pre-activities and 36 official activities, totaling 49 activities overall. The patron of that festival was Felicia Gladys France Hicks. Culturama 45 ran from July 25th to August 6th, 2019. And finally, in our national news segment, following remarks at the launch of a disease control program in St. Kitts on February 4th, that the death of livestock or farm animals has a detrimental impact on the economy, Minister of Agriculture in St. Kitts, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, has explained why such a program is being initiated. Here is Mr. Hamilton.
After the hurricanes of 2017, we saw a resurgence of the tick that usually makes these animals so lumpy and eventually die. We lost some significant numbers of animals between 2018 2019. Not so much because of the Betical. Yes, that was a factor. Truth is, Betical, where we sourced it, was difficult to obtain, not only in St. Kitts, but in Nevis as well as at Antigua. Most of the region had the same problem. In St. Kitts, however, we had animals being affected, and we have launched a program where we will put some people in the field on both sides of the island and administer Betical to all of the animals, free for the first 6 months of the program, and if necessary we'll continue for another 6 months until we eradicate, or at least come to near eradication of this tick.
Bitical is an effective, easy-to-use dip and spray concentrate for the treatment of susceptible ticks. It also eliminates ticks on cattle and other farm animals. He also gave the objective of the program.
The aim, of course, is to ensure that our production levels are meeting what the demands of the country are. We may not be able to do it because we are a small nation state, but we'll have to try as far as possible to produce as much as we can, as safe as it can be produced, so that it is good for consumption. So it is the aim of the government to ensure that we increase the production levels of meat as well as other agricultural products.
Minister of Agriculture in St. Kitts, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton. That is the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vaughanradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Vaughan Radio or our Vaughan Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Nevis, we know you have your personal as well as your business needs, and we're here to help. Our knowledgeable staff will work with you to help you achieve the financial success that you or your company needs in a competitive market. We offer solutions that make your banking experience easier, like our savings and checking accounts. Be sure to ask about our youth savers accounts and our Bank of Nevis Go Club. We offer a wide range of personal loans, including mortgage, land, student, auto, and consumer loans. Have access to your funds instantly with our BeOnline internet banking and our debit and credit cards. We make international banking and investing easy. How's your business? Give it the leverage it really needs by letting the Bank of Nevis assist you with all the necessary funding for all your business expenses. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Bank of Nevis.
Welcome back, and now for the regional news. Out of Venezuela, the United States on Thursday warned Venezuela's rulers of consequences if opposition leader Juan Guaido is not allowed to return safely from a visit to Washington, where he enjoyed pledges of robust support. In one sign that some saw as retaliation, authorities in Caracas threw into jail 6 oil executives with joint U.S. and Venezuelan nationality 2 months after allowing them to shift to house arrest. Elliot Abrams, the U.S. envoy leading to drive the oust leftist leader Nicolas Maduro, warned that the United States was prepared with unspecified actions if Guaido faces trouble. Guaido, who is considered interim president by the United States and most other Western and Latin American nations, vowed to keep up his campaign. Guaido last week met Venezuelans in Miami and then appeared as a surprise guest Tuesday at President Donald Trump's State of the Union address before Congress. Guaido later met with Trump at the White House, which accorded him the same treatment it would any head of state. Maduro's government harshly criticized both Trump and Guaido, but in the past it has allowed the opposition leader to move freely despite his efforts to topple the regime. Out of Cuba, Cuba's cash-strapped government said on Thursday it would start selling cars in tradable currencies rather than convertible Cuban pesos this month as it continues to dollarize swaths of its retail sector. The country's inefficient state-run economy is going through a liquidity crisis due to the imposition of ally Venezuela's economy and the tightening of decades-old U.S. trade embargo under President Donald Trump. In recent months, the government has opened up around 80 dollar stores selling some of the items such as home appliances and car parts that it has to buy abroad in tradable currencies. Until then, the state, which has a monopoly on most of the retail sector, had sold such items in the country's convertible peso, which it says is the equivalent to the dollar but has no value abroad. Tradable currencies had not been deemed legal tender for purchase in Cuba since 2004. Iset Maritza Vázquez Brizuela, first vice president of Cuba's largest commercial corporation, CEMEX, said on Thursday at a roundtable discussion on state TV the country would continue to open more dollar stores this year. Out of Grenada, organizers of Carnival in Grenada had earlier taken the decision to ban all G-strings and thongs. However, Spice Mass Corporation has since retracted their earlier statement and opened up the celebrations to its usual relatively unrestricted free fun and frolic, according to Loop TT. The earlier decision had even banned women with breast size above D cups from wearing wired bras. Kevin Jacob, the CEO of Spice Mass Corporations, had issued this statement yesterday as justification for the ban. Understanding that we are living in a Christian society, our morals and values must be upheld. Additionally, a Spice Mass release stated, bands of individuals found engaging in these activities will be escorted off the parade route and fined. However, the board of directors issued a statement saying they reviewed the rules and regulations and made amendments which now say there will be no full body paint and zero tolerance for nudity and indecent exposure. The statement comes on the heels of outrage on social media directed at Spice Mass Corporations. Calls for cancellation over the event amidst accusations of hypocrisy abounded. In response, Spice Mass chose to rescind some of their earlier prohibitions. And finally, in our regional news segment in Guyana, Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Hammeron, has told representatives of the Carter Center that the government is interested in free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections in which results are declared in a timely manner, allowing the country to continue upwards in its development. He made the position known to a team from the center on Wednesday, which is in Guyana as a part of contingent and international observers for the upcoming general and regional elections. Based on an article from GuyanaChronicle.com, the team was headed by Field Office Director of the International Election Observation Mission, Carlos Venezuela, legal analyst Annie Marlborough, and Deputy Field Office Director Nicholas Jahir. According to the release from the Ministry of the Presidency, Venezuela informed Hammeron that the team has already met with the Guyana Elections Commission, or GCOM, the Ethnic Relations Commission, or ERC, and the government. They will soon be meeting with the political parties once its leadership arrives in the country with the aim of understanding their views on the election preparations, electoral process, and current challenges. The general elections in Guyana are slated for Monday, March 2nd, 2020. That is the regional news segment. International news is up next. Welcome back, and now for the international news. The death of a Chinese doctor who tried to warn about the coronavirus outbreak has sparked an unprecedented level of public anger and grief in China. Li Wengyilang died after contracting the virus while treating patients in Wuhan. Last December, he sent a message to fellow medics warning of the virus he thought looked like SARS, another deadly coronavirus, but he was told by police to stop making false statements and was investigated for spreading rumors. News of his death was met with an intense outpouring of grief on Chinese social media site Weibo, but this quickly turned to anger. The Chinese government has previously admitted shortcomings and deficiencies in its response to the virus, which has now killed 636 people and infected 31,198 in mainland China. Meanwhile, another 41 people on a cruise ship off the coast of Japan have tested positive for the new coronavirus, bringing the total number of cases on board to 61. Some 3,700 people are on board the Diamond Princess, which is quarantined in Yokohama for at least 2 weeks. Checks began on an 80-year-old Hong Kong man who had been on the ship last month fell ill with the virus. The new cases on board the Diamond Princess bring Japan's number of confirmed cases to 86, the second highest figure after China. And finally, in our international news segment, the former head of a top U.S. investment firm has been sentenced to 9 months in prison for his role in the U.S. university's admissions scandal. Retired Pacific Investment Management Company, or PIMCO chief Douglas Hodge, paid nearly $1 million in bribes to get four of his children into top U.S. colleges. Hodge has received the longest sentence of the high-profile parents convicted so far. Prosecutors call him one of the most culpable of the 35 parents charged. In October, Hodge pleaded guilty to money laundering and fraud. He has paid $850,000 in bribes over a decade to have 4 of his 7 children win places at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. and the University of Southern California as fake athletic recruits. That is the international news segment. The latest sports is up next.
TDC Automotive invites one and all to TDC Tire World. Buy 3 tires, get the 4th tire absolutely free.
Say what?
Yeah! Buy 3, get 1 free is back at TDC Tire World. All brands fans all sizes, installation and balancing free with every set purchase. TDC Automotive, we're known for a reason. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and now onto sports. A novel development at Warner Park prevented the scheduled start of the regional game between the Leeward Hurricanes and the Barbados Tridents, scheduled to commence at the venue on Thursday, 6th February. Up to 10 a.m., the stumps were still not in place, and the Leeward team alone was seen warming up on the outfield. It was later learned that some person or persons had broken into the visitors' dressing room in the players' pavilion overnight and removed certain items of clothing, which included shirts, trousers, and socks for the Barbados cricketers. It is understood that the Bajans had secured their gear and clothing at the players' pavilion prior to returning to their hotel the previous evening. The matter is being investigated by the police, and video footage from the security cameras in place is being carefully scrutinized. The match is currently ongoing at Warner Park. The match is currently ongoing at Warner Park, where Barbados Tridents bowled out Leeward Hurricanes for 181 runs. Barbados Tridents are currently batting. In cricket, Natalie Scavier led England to a 4-wicket win over India in their third match of the T20 Tri-Series. Scavier's composed 50 from 38 balls rescued England after they slipped to 28 for 3, chasing 124 for victory at the Junction Oval in Melbourne. India had earlier posted an underwhelming 123 for 8 from their 20 overs, with pace bowlers Anya Shrubstol taking 3 for 31 and Catherine Brunt 2 for 23. Despite losing regular wickets, England secured victory with 7 balls left. England lost their opening match in India before beating Australia in a super over on Saturday. They face Australia again on Sunday before the final takes place on 12th February. The summarized scores are 123 for 6 with 20 overs, Mandhana 45, Shrubsole 3 for 31, Brunt 2 for 23. England 124 for 6 with 18.5 overs, Scavier 50, Gaikwad 3 for 23. England won by 4 wickets. In the NBA, LeBron James joined John Stockton and Chris Paul as the only players in the NBA history with 18,000 points, 9,000 assists, and 2,000 steals. James joined the exclusive club during the Los Angeles Lakers' clash with Western Conference rivals, the Houston Rockets, on Thursday. Last month, 3-time NBA champion and 4-time MVP James surpassed the Lakers' great Kobe Bryant to become the league's 3rd highest scorer of all time. James, 35, has been averaging 25.2 points, 10.7 assists, and 7.7 rebounds per game for the Lakers this season. Prior to Thursday's game, the Lakers topped the West with a 38-11 record, ahead of the city rivals the Los Angeles Clippers, 36-15. That's it for sports. The latest weather forecast is up next. The weather tonight, partly cloudy and breezy with a 30% or low chance of overnight showers. The weather tomorrow, partly cloudy and breezy with a 40% or moderate chance of a few passing showers. Winds east-northeast to east at 22 to 37 kilometers per hour or 12 to 20 knots, and gusting higher mainly in and around showers. Seas 1.8 to 2.8 meters or 6 to 9 feet. A small craft warning is in effect. Sunrise tomorrow is at 6:41 a.m. The sunset tomorrow is at 6:09 p.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, 7th February 2020. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. CMO refutes rumor of a ship traveling with passengers who have coronavirus. And Nevis anxiously awaits by-election as CCM administration to announce candidate. Regionally, U.S. warns Venezuela of consequences if Guaido is harmed. Internationally, coronavirus death of Wuhan doctor sparks anger. And in sports, St. Kitts authorities investigating stolen Barbados Pride attire from Warner Park Stadium. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Daniel Moore, wishing you a pleasant evening.